Oh, good morning.
Good morning sa ating lahat. Nandito naman po tayo ulit sa isang panibagong show sa politika, ensamada at iba pa. Ngayong pong araw ay meron po tayo napaka-espesyal na panauhin na bibigyan sa atin ng madami pong kaalaman at mga updates sa nangyayari sa kanyang distrito sa Mindanao at saka sa House of Representatives. At ang mag-introduce po sa kanya para sa ating lahat ay si Tito Benji. Tito Benji, take it away!
Good morning po sa lahat pong nanonood ng ating programa. Ang panauhin po natin ngayon ay isa pong bata at guwapitong congressman ng 1st District of Lanao del Sur, si Congressman Sia Alonto Adjong. Good morning po, Congressman.
Good morning po.
Good morning po, Kuya Benji. Good morning po sa inyo. Akala ko ako lang politiko dito. Politician ka din pala.
Hindi na po. Sino po ba si Congressman Sia Alonto Adjong? Pwede po malaman namin po.
Opo. Ito po yung aking unang first term, no? Pag-assume as representante ng unang distrito ng Lanao del Sur. Pero bago po ako mahalal dito sa opisinang ito, matagal na po akong nagsiservisyo publiko. Dati po akong miyembro ng Regional Legislative Assembly. Ito po'y parang maliit na kongreso din sa Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Nag-serve na po ako dyan for the past, I think, mga 3 terms din po ako dyan. I started joining public service. Na-elect po ako in 2008. And then, tuloy-tuloy na po, after po ng ARM, nasali naman po tayo as member of the Bangsamoro Transition Parliament under the leadership of the MILF, no? Noong 2019. So after po natin nag-serve naman sa parliament, yun nga po, we took the chance of running for an election in my district at pasalamat naman po tayo nahalal. Ito po yung aking unang termino bilang representante po ng unang distrito ng lalawigan ng Lanao del Sur.
Bilang membro po ng Young Guns dyan sa House of Representatives, ano po ang mga plano mo at yung plano ng grupo nyo?
Actually, yung pagbuo po ng Young Guns na yan, dahil napansin po ng liderato ng House of Representatives na medyo marami po yung mga first termers at yung medyo bata. Ang isa po sa mga iniisip ng lideratong ito, dahil marami din pong yung tinatawag nilang mga last termers, no, mga third termers na at gagraduate na ng mga congressmen. So naisipan po ng liderato na mag-engage itong mga kabataan bago halal para sa doon sa mga issues na alam natin pinanghahawakan ng administrasyon na priority, tulad po ng itong identified dun sa LEDAC, no? Isa nga ho itong pinaka-latest, ito pong tinatawag natin na economic chacha. Sa ganun din po, parang gusto rin ho matrain ang liderato, gusto din ho niya na yung mga bagong halal ngayon ng mga congressmen ay masanay na po sila, no? Dahil pag kayo po talagang unang halal, medyo andun pa rin po yung hiya, andun po yung medyo kaba, kasi bago sa lahat naman ng organisasyon, pag bago ka dyan, makikibagay ka nga sa ika nga nila, di ba? Kailangan mo munang, you have to test the waters, di ba? So andun pa rin yung fear, andun yung kaba, andun yung apprehension. Yun ang gustong mawala, gustong gawin ng liderato ng House na matanggal yon at ma-overcome yon by way of training the new elected members of the House and exposing them to several issues. And as well as to encourage them to speak out and participate actively in committee hearings. So yun po yung sa ngayon na ginagawa ng grupo itong tinatawag na Young Guns. I cannot speak collectively for the stand of the group as a whole. Currently, ang Young Guns po ay lahat ng mga priority legislations ng ating administrasyon at liderato ng House. Sinusuportahan po natin yan, and we engage the media, we engage in different fora, specifically on issues concerning socio-political, socio-economic, na mga concerns na nandoon pa sa stage ng committee. We are encouraged to actively participate in that. But what I can share to you is my individual concern. Dahil ako po, galing po tayo sa community ng minority Muslims dito po sa bansa. Alam po natin ang history po ng ARM before ay parati po dyan nagkakaroon ng hidwaan at series of armed conflict, ika nga, no? Dahil dyan po nag-umpisa yung call for secession at yung original call for secession in the early part of the 60s up to the late part of the 90s. So series of armed conflict. So ang isa po sa talagang pinanghahawakan ko is yung tinatawag po nating lasting peace and sustainable development. Yun po talaga yung isa sa mga advokasya ko. So lahat po ng paraan na po pwedeng pagkunan ng suporta from the national government na doon gagamitin doon sa narrative ng pagpapasulong ng peace process at pagkakaroon ng sustainable development sa ARM, lalo na sa aking distrito, yun po ang ginagawa ko, tinutulungan ko. Sa matter po ng legislation, nag-file na po tayo ng several bills, but the prominent of that is the Transitional Justice Commission, yung creation ng Transitional Justice Commission. Ito po yung commission na ito na magkakaroon po tulad po din sa United States of America, meron po silang Transitional Justice Mechanism. In Canada, meron din po silang Transitional Justice Commission. Dahil dito po sa atin sa Pilipinas, meron po tayong tinatawag na ancestral domain principle na makikita po natin in many other countries na meron po silang native inhabitants. Yung ancestral domain na issue, di ba? Yes. That's why in Canada you also have the transitional justice mechanism there because there were native settlers there in Canada, like the Indians.
Indians.
Yes. So in a way, it's part of the peace, lasting peace na gusto nating ma-achieve and yung sustainable development. All programs must also be geared towards that, no? Lahat po ng sana ilalatag natin ng programa para po sa region namin ay meron pong semblance of achieving lasting peace and sustainable development. So the only way for you to do that is to have an advisory council for you to be able to guide all your programs and projects in order to streamline it, and not only to streamline your projects, but to pinpoint and to target surgically what are the areas that are needed support, no? Areas that may experience a certain condition that is not at par with the rest of other neighboring provinces. Say for example, in terms of employment opportunities, in terms of business opportunities. Bakit hanggang ngayon naglalag sila doon? It's because there's a series of armed conflict, and the effect of that is generational. So this may be the perfect program and projects fitting to them. So yun po yung nakikita ko na possible na pwede natin matagdag.
So Congressman, what you're saying, hindi, okay lang. Bali, sa ngayon, ang atmosphere po sa inyong distrito, would you consider it peaceful or meron pa rin conflict? Sa ngayon pong panahon ng bagong administrasyon.
Well, lumabas po ang survey. I don't know kung anong survey agency ba 'yon, PSA or yung bumaba yung crime rate. No, sa first
good. That is
first
good.
2 years ni PBBM. When we are talking about the general situation in the whole of the country. So for the past 2 years since BBM assumed office as president, the crime rate actually went down. No, it's a
That's
good.
Good.
It's a good it's a good development, no? So pero yung kung if I have to be honest with you, remember what happened in 2017 in Marawi, no?
Yes.
So nagkaroon po ng giyera diyan, nagkaroon ng armed conflict diyan. That's the recent armed conflict that we saw, and that's actually the first time in history na nagkaroon ng straight na bakbakan for the past 5 months. And so I would want to say na na everything would be okay. Everything is okay now. But of course, we are dealing with the third generation warfare. Ito sinasabi nating pag-entry ng radicalization and violent extremism and terrorism. It's not only an exclusive problem in the country, but this is all actually a problem in the ASEAN and perhaps in the entire world, no? Itong terrorism na sinasabi, no? Yung violent extremism, etc. Kaya nga tayo, ang gusto natin for us to be able to maintain safety of our people in the streets, of our citizens in the streets, is to work closely with the local government and as well as our security sectors, no? Yung law implementing agencies natin like the police and the military, magkaroon po tayo ng engagement sa kanila para at least yung problema natin in terms of yung radicalization and yung violent extremism ay ma-counter natin yon. But this is not only to allow or to have our security sector present physically in the areas of concern. Kailangan din natin magkaroon ng mechanism to at least invest on our youth. So I think probably kailangan natin na magkaroon ng usual program. Ang NYC, they have to introduce this kind of program. Ang Sangguniang Kabataan should also have to introduce this kind of program, magkaroon ng annual Peace Week and Peace Camp. We've done that in the province. In our part, we've done that. Nag-host po tayo ng Youth Peace Camp in partnership with our military and the police. And ang result po niyan is very positive, no? It's very welcoming, nakita natin na result because a lot of young people right now are really now more attuned to embracing peace and unity and development and supportive of the national agenda towards achieving lasting peace and sustainable development.
Excuse me,
yes.
Congressman Zia, speaking of national development, yung balik tayo pwede ba tayo bumalik sa usapan ng secession? Kasi may follow-up question po si Tito. Si Tito Benji. Meron siyang follow-up question kami.
Yung nabanggit niyo po kasi yung secession. Bilang isang taga Mindanao po, nararapat po bang ma-expel si Congressman Pantaleon Arbares diyan sa House of Representatives kung ito'y patuloy po niyang ipilit ang secession ng Mindanao sa dahilan na ito'y unconstitutional?
Alam niyo po, that's it's a question that I will wait until such time that the proper committee or the leadership might find reason enough to even start the discussion on expulsion. Ako, iniiwasan ko po yan eh. Sino ba naman ang gustong magkaroon ng mapaalis ang isang elected yan, 'di ba? So I mean, he represents his people, his district. So I don't think that's for me I don't think it's healthy to keep on expelling members of the House of Representatives. But then again, if the alleged violation warrant such discussion in the committee, well, I'll wait for the leadership and for a move for us to even begin talking about that. Pero ang sa akin lang po is personal, kung ako po tatanungin nyo, sa ngayon ayoko pong may makita na naman na ma-expel ng ma-expel. Kung po pwede lang sana, allow them to speak their mind. Anyway, wala naman ho silang nakukuhang suporta. And I guess I guess nakita naman po natin.
So sa iyong palagay, ano sa personal mo na na opinion, ano yung feeling mo about sa secession talaga ng yung gusto nila mangyari? Are you amenable to mag-secede ang Mindanao or
no?
Okay.
Kaya nga ang area namin, ang community ko ay laging behind dahil sa issue ng secession eh.
Okay.
Ang dami pong namatay, ang dami pong naging nasakripisyo diyan, both the cost on human lives, the cost on properties, and the human cost of war. Nakita po natin 'yan, hindi po siya magandang balikan. Kaya nga po nung unang lumabas itong issue na to, ang sinasabi po namin, wag na ho natin gamitin ang issue ng secession dahil masyadong sensitive po para sa amin. Hindi ho dapat yan conveniently used as your everyday language na because it touches a very deep sad memory in the lives of my people and my community. Ang dami pong namatay diyan eh. And na-achieve na nga po natin din yung panahon na ang revolutionary movements ng Muslim Mindanao ay they settled for autonomy. And I think kailangan natin balikan yung especially yung mga proponents, 'di ba? Nito. Noong panahon po ni former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, siya nga po yung nagkaroon kasi ng opening ng first parliament dahil the plebiscite actually took place during his time, and he supported the plebiscite, he supported the formation of the BARM, and it's a big development, no? Progress from that of the situation in our area where there were a couple of armed conflict to achieving a lasting peace, no, by forming a new political structure, this time in partnership with these revolutionary movements who have laid down their arms, embraced the national polity, and joined the mainstream Filipino society. So ako, kung babalikan natin yung ganung klaseng issue in secession, number one, it's impractical. Number two, it will not gain any support. Nakita niyo, walang sumuporta.
Wala eh. Okay.
Number three, set aside the discussion of peace. Pero and what about those soldiers who have sacrificed their lives? Namatay sila dahil sa pagdepensa sa teritoryo ng bansa. They have to defend the country from external threat, including domestic threats. So they have laid down their lives. Many women have become widows. Ang daming na-orphan, ang daming na-handicap na hindi na not their usual self kasi natamaan ng bala at naging PWD na. So what about them? Sacrifice.
So you're saying yung mga nag-proponents ng itong secession na to recently is hindi nila talaga kinonsider yung mga nangyaring ganyan. Hindi nila kinoconsider yung factors.
Hindi ko po maintindihan kung anong naging rason nila kung bakit ganun-ganun lang po masabi yun. I don't know where they're coming from. I do not assume na alam ko yung pinagmumulan kung saan po sila humuhugot, no? Ang other than they're from Mindanao, that's one that they've been neglected now according to them, but it's not I don't see that as a
neglect. You don't see the neglect.
I don't see that argument fitting to those proponents. Kasi una, this is a former president who have served the country for 6 years. This is a former speaker of the House of Representatives, who is the current member of the House of Representatives. And these are all officials who have taken their oath of allegiance to the Philippines, who have benefited in one way or the other the current political setup in the Philippines. And I don't think they are the right person to push for secession. They're enjoying the perks. And if they have improve
so parang there's an irony somewhere there.
Yeah, and
so so Kong Z, about sa tayo, ito yung pinakamainit talaga, tsaka parang kinaiinisan ng may mga naiinis ang talk of charter change at saka or charter amendments or people initiative. May mga taong inis na inis talaga. So ako, ang tanong ko sa inyo is, since parang meron kasing parang may, ewan ko tawagin natin na competition between sa Senate at saka sa House of Representatives. Parang sila, ikaw, sa inyong palagay, anong feeling nyo ba rin na parang obstructionists yung nasa Senado ngayon sa panukala na pagbabago or pag-amyenda ng ating saligang batas? Sa specific lang na mga provisions sa economic provisions natin. Kasi they still insist, meron silang ini-insist na about kakalikutin yung political provisions, ganun. Pero, di ba, nandun nakalagay na klarong-klaro na sa mga which this one does RHB Bill 7 yung RHB 7 na nandun nakalagay doon na economic provisions lang muna ang ating pag-uusapan, pero still they insist na hindi ganun. So ano yung take niyo sa about ginagawa ng Senado? Bakit sila ganun na lang parang silang parang ano ba yung word, urong-sulong, parang okay tapos pero hindi pala. Parang ganun yun. Anong masasabi niyo sa ginagawa ng Senado ngayon sa particular na issue na to?
Yeah. Una, mirror image po, kinopya po namin yung version ng Senate. Yung resolution of both houses number 6.
Number 6. Okay.
That specific economic provisions. And yun pong kinopya namin. Wala pong dagdag. Meron lang pong pagkakaiba doon sa manner of voting. Pero that's our interpretation. And their interpretation is to vote separately. Ours is we are very conscious with the letters and how the Constitution formulates that specific provision. So kinopya lang po namin yung language ng Constitution doon sa specific provisions on the manner of voting. So it's a mirror image. So wala po silang rason para sabihin na baka iba yung pag-uusapan or baka may dadagdag. Wala po. So it's a mirror image. Number 2, yung na-mention niyo po na competition. Actually, wala naman po talagang competition because the leadership of the Senate has already assured the President of his support. Diba? So hindi ho namin maintindihan kung why suddenly we are like comparing the House of Representatives and the Senate now in terms of their commitment. Supposedly dapat parehong house, both leadership of the both houses have already assured that they will deliver the votes, and then they will act on their commitment to the President to revisit the 1987 Philippine Constitution, specifically on the economic provisions. Hindi naman lahat ng section or provision dyan sa economic provision ay bibisitahin natin. Only 3 ang na-identify: education, public utility, and advertising. No? Pangatlo po, yung sinabi niyo pong word na obstructionist sila. Well, kasi I come from a position where I want to really hold on to the assurance made by the Senate leadership na magdi-deliver sila. Ako optimistic pa rin ako na they will deliver that. No, it's just that the question is when. No? But for the past several congresses, meron pa talagang attempt during I think 17 Congress, 18 Congress, and then I think 19, no? Many past congresses have attempted to really push for the revision. The revision and maybe to amend the Constitution, no? And ang nangyayari po is always the Senate did not act on resolutions adopted by the House of Representatives. I guess for some other congressmen who have served in the previous Congresses, because they have experienced that, and I think I heard somebody from Mindanao, it's a veteran legislator who actually described Senate as such, no, yung word na ginamit mo. Kasi siya mismo is the chairman of the constitutional amendments, and for the past several congresses that he was in, he's always been pushing for amendment. Tapos always ang nagiging challenge talaga is hindi ina-actionan.
Ang Senado.
So yun lang, that's his personal description, I guess. as as a result of his experience. Pero ako, I'm still optimistic that because there was already an assurance given to the president, I'm still optimistic that
you are hopeful. Hopeful ka pa na
there's nothing to do but to hope.
Yes, so makakita pa tayo ng kompromiso, makaka-compromise pa ang Senate tsaka ang lower house sa
Hindi na nila kailangan ng kompromiso. Inadapt na nga namin yung kanila eh.
O
so
nga
para wala na silang masabi.
Okay.
Para wala na ho silang masabi. Inadapt na lang namin yung kanila. Tapos nung na-adapt namin yung kanila, sila na naman yung sinasabing hindi pa umaalis doon sa subcommittee nila. Tayo tapos na dito sa...
yun na nga, oo.
And let me just say na yung in-introduce natin sana na amendment is just a simple phrase.
Yes.
We are not to amend or to change the foreign equity, yung percentage ng 60 to 40. What we want to propose is to insert a specific phrase in those sections under the economic provisions of the Constitution so that Congress can amend. For example, can make a law to allow foreign direct investments, to take place, to operate or to invest their foreign capital, foreign companies invest their foreign capital here in the country para, alam mo yun, ang daming opportunity kasi sa labas eh. So hindi natin makuha kasi nakatali yung mga kamay natin. We're very restrictive. In fact, just earlier today, this morning, sabi ko nga, it's perfect opportunity because we want to build up free ports. And this is one of the things that we can do. Maybe after the economic provisions, we can also identify investment hub, para magkaroon po ng take hold of the ASEAN perks and the opportunities. Walang duties and tariffs, ang mga goods coming from Indonesia.
So much para talagang sa economic para sa economy talaga. Pero ito
diba? Para at least better services. If you have so many companies investing in the country,
merong question sa iyo si Tito Benji, Congressman. Meron siyang question sa iyo specifically. Ano nga yung Tito Benji about sa charter change din?
Kung sakali man pong hindi lang po economic provision ang i-amend. Kung sakalin po, kung i-amend din yung political provision, payag po kayo na alisin ang term limit ng mga elected officials, lalo na yung Pangulo ng Pilipinas.
Nako Kuya Benji, parang ayokong magbigay ng sagot na hypothetical yung magiging kasi una, hindi pa ho talaga yung pinag-uusapan,
Okay.
Pero marinig lang namin po yung...
Para lang marinig namin, Kong. Para lang marinig namin. Kasi madami makukulit eh. Marami po makukulit na talagang kahit ilang beses namin explain na economic provisions lang yung talagang tinututukan, meron pa talagang ibang mga sektor na hindi talaga naniniwala. So, ibigay natin yung yung kanilang tawag dito, yung kanilang hilig para marinig din natin sa inyong palagay, kung kayo pa tatanungin, ano yung inyong palagay? Ano yung opinion?
Well, kung pag-uusapan po natin ng term limit, ako dapat may term limit.
Okay, good.
Pero ang akin lang po is maybe yung every 3 years medyo masyadong siyang divisive. Masyadong mabilis. Para sa akin masyadong mabilis. Halimbawa, ako 2022 tumakbo ako.
25?
Na proclaim ako, umupo ako June 30 noon time. And then half na po 'yon ng 2022. I only have the whole year of 2023 to propose legislations maybe to identify my programs. Come 2024, that's going to be a new political realignment, because we're preparing for 2025. And why we do that in advance is because the filing of certificate of candidacy happens early in October of 2024. So it's very divisive kasi every 3 years, you only have practically 1 year
1 year.
To really be of service. So if every 3 years may kalaban ka, kaya masyadong napoliticize yung mga karamihan sa atin kasi every 3 years we're looking at elections and elections. So ang akin, mas magandang gawing probably 4 years. You can have 2 terms, 4 years each.
4 years.
Okay. That is for me. That's for me. It's
reasonable. Okay.
Reasonable. But definitely,
so at least okay lang, amenable kayo kung mapag-usapan yun. Pero meantime, hindi pa yun nasa table.
Term limits, I'm not convinced kung tatanggalin talaga. Ako, mas pabor pa rin ako na meron pala talagang term limit. Pero kasi, dapat din, magkaroon, yung mga magagandang programs kasi, dapat ma-institutionalize yan. Kung sino man ang maupo, dapat hindi na niya palitan yan.
Okay.
That's why we are also looking at yung gusto natin ang NEDA maging isang department na para yung lahat po ng pinopropose nila na agenda, hindi na po maiiba yan.
Mapatuloy.
Kung sino pong maupo dyan, yung maganda, ipagpatuloy niya. That's actually the key. It's not about the terms. It's about continuity of good programs. Kasi minsan, pag may bago kasi na halal, kalaban niya yung natalo niya, lahat ng magagandang
tanggalin.
Minsan papalitan lang ng pangalan. Para lang meron siyang trademark, kumbaga, meron siyang tatak na kanya. So, hindi yun nakakatulong.
Tama. So, I heard Congressman Zia, I heard na next month, month of April, meron kayong plebisito sa inyong sa BARM. Next month is month of April, meron kayong plebisito sa BARM. I think it sabi dito is magkakaroon kayo magka-create ng mga new towns at saka municipality sa BARM plebiscite, and then yung mga next year sa 2025 yung mga you will elect officials sa mga newly formed ninyo na mga townships, isasali parang side by side sa elections na midterm elections sa 2025. How excited are you sa development na to sa BARM for your tsaka your district na gagawin at mangyayari na to?
Yeah. Una, about the plebiscite ng mga created towns. Yung proposal po yun ng parliament. They were given under the Bangsamoro Organic Law, the parliament has the power, tulad nung can exercise na ginagawa ng Congress, they can exercise that power to merge, divide, create barangays, municipalities, hindi ko lang alam yung sa case ng province kasi may nangyari na kasi ang province nung sa Sharif Kabungsuan kasi once you create the province, you automatically create a district representative.
Okay.
Which the district representative can be created only by Congress,
Okay.
So yung kung pabor ba ako dun sa mga ibang towns, hindi ko alam yung sa ibang lugar, pero sa town ko mismo, dun sa may area ng WAO, hindi po. Hindi po ako, opposed po ako doon na magkaroon ng division.
Okay.
Ng municipality of WAO. Dahil yung mga tao mismo sa WAO, even mayors, yung mga councilors, they are opposed to the separation, division of their municipality. Kasi actually ang WAO is the only Christian-dominated municipality in my district. And that's our window to North Cotabato, Maguindanao, and Sarangani and the rest of the provinces in the southeastern part ng Mindanao. So medyo sila, it's thriving yung community nila. They have a good working relationship with the Christians and the Muslims, and as well as yung kanilang mismong gobyerno, local government, thriving yung kanilang ekonomiya. So there's no reason for you to just separate and create another.
Okay.
So ganun po yung that's I oppose. For the rest of the other areas, that sabi ko nga hindi ko alam because those are areas outside of my jurisdiction and outside of my province.
Okay, we understand.
You're correct. I'm excited to hold the first regular BARM election because yes, it would give power to the people to choose the leaders. Ngayon kasi it's a transition period. So yung nakaupo po dyan is appointed by the President. Una, nag-appoint po ng mga members ng Parliament. Nung time po ni PRRD, I myself was included in the appointment for the first batch of the members of the Parliament. Now, I'm excited because, of course, we are a democracy, no? And everything should be decided by the people. And I'm very excited because that's going to be the first regular election na hindi siya tailored, hindi siya mirror image or tailored after the pattern in the national legislature. It's a parliament. The parliament, it can exercise executive functions. So sila magbobotohan ng kanilang chief minister, silang magbobotohan ng ministers ng bawat ministry. So para siyang mga sa UK. So it's an interesting interesting event because for the first time since 1981 when Bastaang Pambansa was convened, we had the first prime minister, for the late Prime Minister Virata. From then on, this is actually the first time where we can witness a parliamentary setup in the country. So it's going to be exciting, no? And we are excited how yung political maturity evolved in the BARM. Kasi you will be forming government of the day. You will be forming regional parties. How they will arrange, how they can compromise in terms of their advocacies, etc. It's an exciting way to see it, no, how they will evolve into a more matured political parties. Kasi ultimately, the one who has the number in the parliament will be the one to govern, to form the government of the day. So it's exciting. Yes, of course, exciting. Excited tayo doon.
So on a lighter, pag-usap natin mga nangyari ng previous several days. Tito Benji, ikaw, alam ko meron ko kanina mo pa ito gusto tanungin kay Congressman Zia. Tito Benji.
Ang tanong ko po, Congressman, ano pong reaction mo doon sa sinabi po ng former Congressman ng Biliran tungkol po kay First Lady Lisa Marcos?
Yan ang pag-aakala ni Lisa Marcos na lahat ng Pilipino ay luluhod sa kanya para magkaroon ng posisyon. Sasampalin kitang babae ka, hindi ako luluhod sa'yo.
Ako meron po akong nanay, meron akong mga kapatid na babae, meron akong asawa, meron akong panganay kong anak, babae. Ayoko pong nakakarinig ng ganon pambabastos at pang pagmamaliit sa isang babae. Hindi it's Women's Month, for God's sake, 'di ba? Parang the least that you can do is at least
nakalimutan yata siguro ni Attorney Glenn Chong na Marso ngayon.
Minsan kasi may mga tao na masyadong nakikarry over sila carried away sila sa mga emosyon. Alam nilang maraming nakatutok ng mga tao, like nandyan yung media, andyan yung so yung bravado ba, yung sense of like feeling like everything would be according to what you want, parang ganon yung feeling. So medyo lumagpas siya sa linya, hindi ho yun maganda. In fact, para sa akin, hindi lang dahil First Lady si FL Liza Araneta Marcos, no, but any women, sabihan mo ba yun na gusto kita pagsasampalin kita? Anong 'di ba, parang anong klaseng lalaki ka, no? Anong klase?
Hindi po yung lalaki, Congressman. Ako taga-Leyte po ako. Biliran is just an island away from here, connecting island.
So unfortunate po kasi we had to hear it from former member of the House.
Yes.
So, meron po kaming kasabihan dito sa House of Representatives, no? Once a congressman, always a congressman. Ibig sabihin, if kumbaga you had the opportunity to serve in this profession, no? I mean, serve the people.
This institution.
Profession, yes. Okay. So even after your service in the House, you have to carry with you the best version of yourself. You have to carry with you the example of a representative of a people. So you are not actually trying to personalize your office, but it should be the other way around. You don't own your office, you represent the office, which
Okay.
by extension you represent the people. That's why you always have to carry yourself properly in public.
With
no?
dignity.
If you are a lawyer, especially if you're talking about women in a women's month. So hindi hindi
Di,
maganda.
tsaka meron kasi sa basta pag abogado, hindi dapat ginagawa yun sa kapwa nila abogado.
Maski
I think
na hindi abogado, just for the
yun nga, tsaka for the basic women.
Yeah, yung basic sense of yung basic sense of Filipino respect to women.
Respect. Yes.
Alam niyo yun? Yung matriarchal pong Filipino society, hindi ba?
Yes.
Ewan ko, pero sa amin po sa Mindanao, karamihan po sa amin matriarchal ang society namin. So, alam niyo po, we always put women in the pedestal. We always look up to them because in matters where the family is experiencing trouble, ang nandiyan,
ang
like
mother.
Sabi ko nga, balikan ko yung sinabi ko, series of armed conflict. Karamihan po sa mga kalalakihan na nag-join sa movements, nag-join sa France, ang tumayo pong tatay at nanay. Yes. Sila po yung tumayong nanay at tatay ng kanilang mga anak. So it's really a hard job. I think it's really hard to just be a woman in this. And I cannot believe to be hearing that in this generation of ours.
Yes.
So medyo off ako doon. Hindi siya magandang tularan, lalo na prayer rally pa. Dapat prayer rally. Ano ba yan? Pag prayer rally, dapat nakaluhog kayo dyan.
Hindi yan prayer rally. Hindi po yung prayer rally.
Time for reflection, not to use the event as your way to insult and to insult or demean
women, especially the first lady.
Yes, that's correct. So I don't know, meron akong narinig na may magpa-file daw ata ng disbarment.
Meron po si Commission ng Bureau of Immigration.
Madami sila.
Actually kasi may case na nga yan eh, 'di ba? May mga cases where yung dating form yung isa din, no? I'm sorry to cite this, but there's a journalist who actually filed a similar case because she felt that she was being abused verbally.
Yes.
Si Risa, so babae din yun. Yes, exactly, 'di ba? So ganun din eh. So I mean, if we are really want to let's call spade a spade, no? Kailangan talagang hindi dapat matanggal talaga yan sa sistema natin. And I mean, that kind of attitude, no, towards women, it's not a reflection of our culture, no? It's not a reflection of our culture in our the basic sense of decency as a Filipino.
Pero matigas pa rin si Glenn Chong. We've seen recent mga pronouncements niya so hindi matigas pa rin siya matigas pa rin. Pero time will just come na siya. Bahala na yung sa kanya, bahala na yung Diyos sa kanya. And
hinamon pa nga yung mga kapwa mo
hinamon pa yung mga kapwa congressman mo, si Congressman. Sino yun, Tito Benji? Si Congressman Pimentel, si Congressman
Garin.
Si Garin, si Congresswoman Garin, si Congressman Gomez, hinahamon niya na luluhod.
Hearing daw. Napaimbestigahan.
Matigas siya.
You see how low the quality of debate is now? I mean,
yun na nga
mababa yung.
That's why it's I'm from Leyte and I'm very disappointed with Attorney Glenn Chong. And pati siguro si Congresswoman Janet Garin is from Tubong Leyte din siya. And she's disappointed. Disappointed kami sa kanya. Ba't ganun siya? Ba't siya ganun? Grabe naman siya. Sinabi talaga niya, sasampalin niya harap-harapan ang First Lady ng Pilipinas.
Back to back.
kung kunahan ko na lang siya, sampalin ko siya. Bakit gano'n? Ano pa siya?
Alam mo, parang sinabi na niyo, pwede na ata sila, di ba, may court order that can already be used para magbigay ng court order na may certain distance na di mo napitan yung kasi that's all.
TRO, baka TRO siya, ganyan yung temporary restraining order. Anyway, so ito, last question na tayo, Congressman. Ano po bang masasabi ninyo sa leadership style ni Speaker?
Na magservisyo, maglingkod sa lahat ng Pilipino sa buong Pilipinas, hindi lang sa ating sariling distrito. Kaya yun po talaga ang halaga ng trabaho ng isang congressman.
Martin Romualdez.
Well, he's very accommodating. He really wants everybody to understand kung meron siyang pinupush na agenda. He values all the insights, inputs, comments of every member of the House. He listens to us. He's inclusive and ano po siya? Like, ang gusto po niyang mangyari talaga is lahat ng effort ng nangyayari at napapasa at natatapos ng House, hindi ho niya, he does not take credit only to himself or claim credit solely for himself, but he says that this is a product of of concerted effort and a product of the entire members of the House, which is a good quality of a leader. Kasi a leader, you do not only lead, but you also have to be a good example for others to follow you and willing to follow others who has better ideas than you have, diba? So parang a leader is someone who can really inspire and at the same time who can inspire people to be better of what they are currently, no? So si Speaker kasi he inspires us to work more and to be better, no? We don't only follow him as a leader, but he also is willing to listen to us and maybe follow the advices of some of the congressmen, even those who are first termers. That's how open he is, that's how inclusive he is, and that's how inspiring he is as a leader.
Okay.
Bago
Thank
po
you,
tayo
Congressman.
Bago po tayo maghiwalay, Congressman, bago po matapos ang programa, pwede pong maingan po kayo ng mensahe sa ating mga manonood.
Okay. Politika, ensaymada, right?
Oo. Politika, ensaymada, at iba pa.
At iba pa.
Ang ganda nung show nyo.
Salamat.
Makinig po kayo, makinig at subaybayan ang Politika, ensaymada at iba pa kung saan pinag-uusapan ang maiinit na balita, mas mainit pa sa ensaymada at mas importante pa sa politika. Makinig po at makibalita, Politika, ensaymada at iba pa.
Salamat po. Salamat po, Congressman Zia Alonto Adyong.
Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye po.
Bye-bye po.
Bye-bye. Happy Ramadan. Happy Ramadan.